Welcome to online study on Indian Evidence Act. On the other day, we had discussed about estoppel. Estoppel is a rule of evidence. But it why on applying the principle of estoppel, on applying the law of estoppel in a particular case, somebody is prevented to deny the truth of a statement which he had given or denied the representation which he had made to another. Most of the time, the rule of estoppel is applicable in contracts. So what this estoppel provides, that it is a rule, it is a principle of law by which a person is held bound by the representation made by him. What is estoppel? It is a rule of law. It is a principle under law where a person is bound by the representation made by him or arising out of his conduct. If a person has made some representation, he is bound by it. Or if by his conduct he has represented something, then he is bound by it. So you should remember that in day-to-day life, various contracts are entered. In making a contract, if somebody has made a representation erroneously, but there is intention is there. Even intentionally made some representation, and by such representation he has made another to believe something to be true, and on that belief, if that other person had acted upon, then a suit only. In a suit, when a suit is filed, he is debarred to deny the truth of the said representation. The best example is, suppose a person sent a particular goods through railway. Or consignment was there. Suppose sent a particular goods through railway as the carrier. So in that declaration, when he paid the charge for transportation of that goods by railway, he declared the value of that goods as 10,000. So after somehow or other, that goods were lost. He filed a suit against the railway, claiming compensation for the loss of the goods, and in that suit he claimed the value of the goods as 50,000 rupees. Will he be permitted to do so? The answer is no. Why? Because by his own act, he made a declaration that the value of that goods which is sent through the railway from a particular station, that was 10,000 rupees. So now he is disturbed to deny the truth of the value of the goods which was 10,000 as declared by him if a suit is filed. This is the principle of estoppel. Estoppel is a rule of law by which a person is bound by his reputation or is bound by his conduct. So here, if you go through the definition of estoppel as provided in section 115, what it says, estoppel is defined there when a person has by his declaration, act or omission, by giving a declaration, by doing some act, or by omitting to do certain act, intentionally caused or permitted another person to believe a thing to be true. Intentionally caused. another person to believe or permitted another person to believe a particular thing to be true, not only true, and also to act upon that representation or upon that belief, then neither he nor his representative shall be allowed in any suit or proceeding. When a suit or proceeding is filed between that person and the other person, neither he nor his representative shall be allowed to what? Deny the truth of the same, truth of that representation. Where? If in any suit or proceeding. So this is estoppel. Estoppel means suppose you are stopped, you are stopped, your mouth is closed, your mouth is stopped to deny the truth of a representation which you made, and because of such representation you created a belief in the mind of another that it is true, and on that belief that person had acted upon. So only the estoppel principle is applicable when a suit or a proceeding is instituted. In that suit or proceeding, that person will be debarred, will not be permitted to deny the truth of the statement or representation which he had made. Illustration will make you clear. A intentionally falsely lead to believe that certain land belongs to A. A intentionally made a false belief in the mind of B that he is the owner of a particular land, and he sold that land and induces B to purchase that land. B purchased that land, then the land afterwards became the property of A. At the time when the land was sold, that land did not belong to A, but it belonged to his father. But when subsequently that land came to came under the ownership of A filed a suit to denying the sale or questioning the sale. So in such case, he is debarred to deny the truth as per the rule of estoppel. So here, the second is that, suppose this is the rule of estoppel. Doctrine of fitting the grant of by estoppel, such a provision is there in the Transfer of Property Act. So now, what is representation? Representing something. If a person when a person by his declaration, act or omission intentionally caused or permitted another to believe a thing to be true. So how? That there may be a representation. This representation may be either by act, either by omission. Suppose in my presence, I am the owner of a particular car. In my presence, my son is representing another that he is the owner, and he sold that car to another. I did not object. So because of my omission to say that no, my son was not the owner, my son is not the owner, but I am the owner. Because of my omission, I made another person to believe that my son is the owner of that car and he sold it. So later I can, if I file a suit, get back my car, saying that my son had no authority to sell it. In such suit or proceeding, I am not allowed to deny the truth. I am not permitted to deny that my son was not the owner. So this is representation. This estoppel, in a very interesting case, this Privy Council in Sarat Chandra De versus Gopal Chandra Laha. This is a very interesting case. This is the first rule of estoppel. Sarat Chandra De versus Gopal Chandra Laha. In that case, a Muslim died leaving behind some property. A Muslim man died leaving some property and a son and a daughter. A Muslim man died leaving some property, his son, daughter and wife. Then the whole property, including the share of the son and the daughter, was in possession of the entire property left by that Muslim was under the possession of the mother. Then the mother what claimed that property, mother she also claimed the property under a deed of gift executed by her husband in her favor. The mother claimed that the entire property of which she was in possession, she had got that property through a gift from her husband, but she could not succeed. So her claim was not allowed, but her claim failed. The gift deed having found to be invalid, the gift deed in the suit, the gift deed was found to be invalid. So now, once the gift deed was invalid, the property which has been left by that Muslim, now that is to be inherited by the mother, that the wife, son and daughter. But the mother remained in possession. Mother remained in possession. And while the mortgage is, the property was purchased by the defendant. So thereafter the mother was in possession. Then that mother mortgaged that property to Sarai Chandra. This mother mortgaged that property to Sarai Chandra. The mortgage was executed through the agency of the son. This crux lies here. The mother mortgaged the property. That this mortgage was that is executed through son's representative. Son and daughter were aware of son was aware that the mother was mortgaging. He did not object. Rather, he facilitated the mortgage. Subsequently, that purchase, both the son and the daughter sold their share in the property to Gopal Chandra. This Gopal Chandra, the defendant, the respondent before the Privy Council. Subsequently, the son and daughter sold the property to Gopal Chandra. And the daughter sold their shares in property to the plaintiff, that is Gopal Chandra. So, the plaintiff started the present case to recover the possession of the property from the mortgagee. Mortgagee means Sarai Chandra. The mother, that means wife of that Muslim, while in possession, though her claim that she had got the entire property from her husband through a gift deed failed, but she remained in possession. She mortgaged that property to Sarai Chandra, and in that mortgage, the son had some role. Son was aware of the fact, son represented, and son facilitated the mortgage. Thereafter, both the son and the daughter, they sold their share of that property to this respondent, that is Gopal Chandra. So after purchase, Gopal Chandra filed a suit to recover possession of the property from the mortgagee. Mortgagee means what is Sarai Chandra, who had taken the property on mortgage from the mother. The matter went to the Privy Council. In the Privy Council, this principle of estoppel was applied. What principle of estoppel? That the son, by his omission, by his declaration, by his acts, made a person to believe, made the mortgagee to believe that or his mother was the absolute owner or the sole owner of the property. So now he is debarred, he is prohibited, his claim is barred in respect of that property. Here, that means through whom the purchaser claims title to the property, he is also debarred to get the property of the son which he had purchased in this sale. What it says? So in this case, but the defendant claimed that the son and the daughter should not be permitted to say that the mortgage was void. So they had allowed the mother to remain in possession, and the son had acted in her behalf in executing the mortgage. That was a representation that the mother had the right to the mortgage. So in such case, accordingly, the question before the Privy Council was whether the plaintiff was stopped from proving the invalidity of the mortgage. The plaintiff, that means the purchaser. Their lordship held that the son was so stopped and so was the plaintiff to the extent of his share, but that there was no estoppel against the daughter. Why? Because the daughter had not made any representation to the mortgagee in mortgaging the disputed property. So this is called a representation. So act representation. So in many variety of cases you will find as a lawyer where you can apply the principle of estoppel. For an example, suppose you are continuing your law study now in your third year or fourth year. Tomorrow the university or the university or law college finds that there is some error in the calculation of your mark, for which you are not eligible to get admission. And the law college now cancels your admission. No, because the law college is now prohibited to cancel your admission, and if a suit is filed, you can take the plea of estoppel. This estoppel, because your act representation, I had no fault, but if you have obtained the mark by exercising fraud, a false mark sheet you have given, then the rule of estoppel will not be applicable. University, in most of the cases, this estoppel is, principle of estoppel is allowed. Somebody is given admission in an MBBS degree. After 1 year, then the concerned university or the college cancels the admission. Then the rules, this rule of estoppel will be applied. That the university or the educational institution is debarred to cancel the admission of somebody by applying the principle of election. That is estoppel. So this is a very good provision of educational institutions. Most of the educational institutions we find this rule of estoppel. So in Krishna versus Kurukshetra University, once it has been held by the Honorable Supreme Court that once a candidate has been admitted to an examination, his candidature cannot afterwards be cancelled even if his form carried certain infirmities. Suppose a form was filled in. There was some that is mistake, some omission was there, accidentally or some mistake was there. But your admit card was issued. Thereafter your admission for that examination cannot be cancelled. If it is cancelled, then you can raise the principle of estoppel. The university cannot do it, or the examination authority cannot do it. So, but the Rajasthan High Court acted upon this principle in refusing permission to a university after 3 to 4 years to cancel the admission of a medical college on the basis of the candidate declaration that belonged to a scheduled caste was a false one. So similarly, even suppose a person has got a scheduled caste certificate. Now for 2 to 3 generations he is getting this, he is availing the benefit on that certificate. His father was a scheduled caste person, his grandfather had availed benefit. So this principle of estoppel will be applicable in such case. But suppose fraud is there, which is forgery, poor certificate has been obtained, then the rule of estoppel will not be applicable. So now, what is promissory estoppel? You should know your study on estoppel will not be completed unless you know what is promissory estoppel. Promissory estoppel is applicable in most of the contracts. In contracts, though for a contract there must be consideration. Though consideration is not there, because of one's promise, if another believes that promise to be true and he has acted upon, then subsequently that promise cannot be withdrawn. Mostly in promises made by the government, in the policy, in the government, the promissory estoppel is applicable. For an example, suppose government today makes a notification that whoever will set up industry in the district of Fulgani, he will get sales tax exemption for 5 years. A citizen, believe that notification, believe that promise, or even no notification is there if a statement is given by the government. So somebody believing that promise made by the government, it established an industry. After 1 year, now the government withdrew that notification. So in such case, the promissory estoppel principle will be applicable. You will be entitled to, that means a industry which has been set up on the basis of promise made by the government, that industry will be allowed to get the benefit of sale tax exemption forever. For future industry may not be applicable. So this is promissory estoppel. Promissory estoppel, this is the promissory estoppel found its root as an exception to the doctrine of consideration in the law of contract. In every contract there must be a consideration, but it is an exception, the promissory. Whenever a person holds out a promise of a favor or concession to another, when most of the government, when a person makes a promise to give some concession or to show favor to another and that the latter person, that is the person, changes his position by relying upon these words, he will not be permitted afterwards to say that his promise was without consideration. He cannot say that the promissory, because that the promise was without consideration, that will not be acted upon. So here the first case, that is glorious example of Central London Property Trust Ltd versus High Trees Houses Ltd. This is House of Lords. In that case, a person has taken lease of a flat, a certain flat. So here, due to outbreak of this World War II, many persons vacated the flat. Then the landlord, that he promised, he made a promise, he reduced the rent of the flat which has been leased out to that person. He has subleased that to 50%. So accordingly, he received rent, 50% of the agreed rent. Thereafter the war was over. Again those flats were occupied by the tenants. He claimed the rent, reverse rent. So there, this principle of estoppel was raised. The House of Lords said, no, the principle of estoppel is not there. It is not applicable because there is no change. So that is, he had held out a concession only. He had given a concession and had himself been acting on it by accepting half rent. He was therefore stopped from saying that his agreement to accept only half the rent was without consideration. That is not so far as the past rent is concerned, half rent was there. For future, he can claim more rent. Similarly, the other case, the Supreme Court, as in this is Motilal Padampat Sugar Mill versus State of UP. In this case, they considered the State of UP. There was a news in the paper that the State of UP would grant exemption from sale tax for 3 years to new industrial units. There was a newspaper publication that the State of UP will give sale tax exemption would give sale tax exemption for 3 years. The petitioner wanted to set up a Banaspati plant. He applied to the Director of Industries and the Chief Secretary, and both confirmed the availability of the exemption. Both of them accepted the exemption. The petitioner proceeded with his plans, but the state government abrogated its policy of exemption. The petitioner applied for an order that the state government should be stopped from going back upon the declared exemption. So the Supreme Court allowed the petition, holding that the government was bound by its declared intention. The Honorable Justice Bhagavati then reviewed all the English cases on this subject, particularly related to the position that promissory estoppel cannot be used as a cause of action, and it only affords a defense. They learned that. So there the case was decreed in favor of the petition. So that is, so this, previously the promissory estoppel was not applicable. The learned judge added, we do not see any valid reason why promissory estoppel should not be allowed to found a cause of action, where in order to satisfy the equity, it is necessary to do so. It is equally applicable to against the government and others. The doctrine of promissory estoppel can be invoked even where a case does not satisfy the requirement of estoppel as mentioned section 100. So this is, so when this promissory estoppel is not applicable against the government, first the plea of the promissory estoppel is not available against the exercise of the legislative function of the government. Legislative. Thus, where the government changed its export policy, but export policy changed. Higher rate of export tax is there. Then that by an order which had the force of legislative, exporters who had contracted on the basis of earlier policy, suppose somebody says, because of earlier policy, I had entered a contract, now the more export tax is collected, because this promissory estoppel will not be applicable to the legislative, this function of the state government. Similarly, the doctrine cannot be involved for preventing the government from discharging function under the law or to act contrary to the law. So, a government, similarly, suppose an officer of the government who has no authority, but he had promised, and on that promise somebody had acted upon. Say for an example, a collector had no power to grant lease, to give lease of a particular land, but he promised. On basing on that promise, somebody had acted upon. Then the promissory estoppel will not be applicable, because the person, government officer, had no power. Suppose a minister had given a statement, basing on that statement somebody had acted upon, then the promissory estoppel will not be applicable, because there was no government, that policy of the government. Somebody, if a particular officer or a minister going outside his power, make some promises, keep some promises, then the promissory estoppel will not be applicable. Suppose one MLA, he made a promise in a public meeting, you make a construction and accordingly I will make arrangement for payment of the bill. Some villagers, they made a construction of suppose a water tank or suppose a school, then promissory estoppel will not be applicable, because it is not the government. So because you should know the authority, that the person who promises must have the authority, legal authority to make some promise. When the officer acts within the scope of his authority under a scheme and enters an agreement and makes representation, and a person acting on shall represent, he puts himself to a disadvantaged position, then only. Suppose a MLA had a scheme, MLA had promised to sanction money from his own fund, that is MLA fund. So that in such case, the promissory estoppel will be applicable. So you should know what is promissory estoppel. Because of promise, if somebody had changed his promise was believed to be true, and on accepting that promise, somebody has acted upon. So here, that is promissory estoppel. So you should know, this is promissory estoppel. Now, let us come to the provision of section. Then estoppel may be two types of estoppel by record. Sometimes estoppel on record. If somebody says, what is estoppel on record? Estoppel record is, that is when a decree has been passed. Parties are bound by it. So the doctrine of res judicata is an example estoppel by record. Already the parties have acted upon. So every party has a right of appeal against that person, against the decree. If he has not made an appeal and the decree has become final, then he is bound by it. That is estoppel by record. Not only the parties, they are privies also, such as legal heirs, executor, administrator, and assigns, all become equally bound by the decision of this kind of estoppel. So this has been dealt under section 10, 11 of the Civil Procedure Code. So similarly, a judgment in re is also estoppel on record. So now, estoppel by deed also. What is estoppel by deed? Those who make themselves party to a deed, they and their privies, their privies means their representative cannot deny the factual basis on which the deed was entered into. Deed may, however, but the deed may be challenged on the ground of fraud, etc. But whatever has been mentioned, that should not be denied. So, estoppel of a position where a person induces another to enter into a contract with him on the basis of facts which are fraudulently or innocently misrepresented, he would be bound by his statement and would not be permitted to get rid of the contract. So here, this is a candidate appearing at a competitive exams on the basis of a prospectus was not allowed to raise question of validity. So now, there are many instances estoppel will be applicable. In day-to-day life, this principle is applicable when a suit or proceeding is instituted. So this is much more. Suppose they plot in joint ownership. In such case, what it says, on a dissolution of a marriage by consent, the respondent husband was not permitted to deny that their flat was in a joint ownership. Suppose the husband and wife, they were in joint ownership. Suppose a marriage is dissolved, then the husband is not permitted to deny that the wife had not the joint ownership. The husband had made statement admitting joint ownership. Once he had admitted the joint ownership, then the court ordered division of the flat between them. Equitable estoppel also, the government caused delay in communicating adverse remarks. Adverse remarks in the CCR. In administrative law, that is also applicable. So upon adverse remarks were not communicated for 5 years, that was not communicated. Why adverse? What is adverse remark? In the confidential character role of a government servant or a public government servant, the higher authority writes his this performance. If an adverse remark is given in the CCR, if that is not communicated to the person to reply for a long period, then the same cannot be communicated. This is also a principle of estoppel. So House's authority, suppose, may restrain from implementing a thing if you to lead to inequitable measures. But government can cancel certain money, but there should not be any bar for that. Where the decree holder income tax return showed that he had received substantial payment under the decree and only some amount remained to be received, he was stopped from denying the fact of such payment. This is equitable, that is estoppel. So now, in many cases, you will find this estoppel. Caste certificate, as I told you, statement in other proceedings. This is estoppel. Waiver and estoppel. What is the difference between waiver and estoppel? Waiver means abandoning something. So waiver is the abandonment of rights, which normally everybody is at liberty. So this is waiver. Somebody said it. That is, a waiver is nothing unless it amounts to a release. If somebody releases his right, that is waiver. For an example, there cannot be estoppel against law. For an example, there is three sons are there. They are equally entitled to get share. But if one of the person has admitted something is share, unless there is a release, he can claim his share in appeal. That is, there cannot be an estoppel against law. So, here, suppose as because something has been wrongly decided and he has acted upon, he has accepted, so illegally decided, there cannot be an estoppel against the law. Estoppel by pleading, similarly, where no specific plea was taken in a writ petition, it was held that the same could not be raised at the pleading. That is estoppel by pleading. Somebody has attested a document, and so that doesn't mean that he has accepted the terms and conditions of the document. So this application will not be there. Now, you go to this, what is estoppel? By now, you must have understood what is estoppel and what is provisory estoppel. So now, section 116 says, estoppel of tenant and licensee of a person in possession. As you know, in a lease, there is a lessor and lessee. It's popularly called landlord and tenant. The lessee is called tenant. So, once there is a lease, and the tenant has accepted that the particular person from whom he had taken a particular property on lease, he cannot deny that when he became the tenant, at the commencement of the tenancy, the landlord had no title. Similarly, the license. License means what is a license? What is the difference between license and lease? License is a permission of somebody to enter into the property of another, without which the entry is illegal. There the license, if you keep for an example, for better understanding, you should give, giving house rent is a lease. Somebody purchases a ticket of a cinema hall, and for to view a particular picture, and he enters into the cinema hall. Here he enters there as a license. So that is not a lease. So when this estoppel is applicable for tenant and license of a person in possession, what it says? No tenant of immovable property. If a person is a tenant of immovable property, or a person claiming through such tenant, either the tenant or any other person claiming through such tenant, shall during the continuance of the tenancy, if tenancy is over, then this estoppel of tenant is not applicable. During continuance of the tenancy, be permitted to deny what? That the landlord of such tenant had at the beginning of the tenancy, suppose in the meantime somebody has purchased and a suit comes. So in such case, section 116 will not be applicable. No tenant of immovable property or a person claiming through such tenant shall, during the continuance of the tenancy, when the tenancy is continuing, be permitted to deny. What deny? That the landlord of such tenant had at the beginning of the tenancy a title to such immovable property. Only limited. That means when there is a lease, a no tenant, while continuing as a tenant and in possession of that property as a tenant, will be permitted to deny that his landlord had title to the property leased out to him when the tenancy began, at the time when the tenancy started, or that is during the continuance of the time, be permitted to deny that the landlord of such tenant had at the beginning of the tenancy, a title to such immovable property. Similarly, and no person who came upon any immovable property by the license of the person in possession, the person thereof, shall be permitted to deny that such person had a title. Similarly, no licensee is permitted to deny that the person from whom he holds the license, at the continuation of that license, that person, the person who had given that, who had the licensor had title to such, deny that such person had a title. This is section 116. What section 116 says? That is the estoppel of tenant and of licensee of person in possession. Tenant in possession, while in possession as a tenant, the tenant will be permitted to deny that his landlord had no title when the tenancy started, when at the continuation of when the tenancy began. Similarly, no licensee while in possession, you can deny that is permitted to deny that his licensor had no title when he allowed him to possess that property as a license. This is section 116. Because estoppel of tenant binds him till he is in possession. Till that tenant is in possession, he is bound under the principle of estoppel not to deny the title of his landlord. When the tenancy commenced, estoppel of tenant, section 116. This section provides that a person who comes into immovable property taking possession from a person whom he accepts as the landlord is not permitted to say as against his landlord that he had no title to that property. This is tenant. Estoppel confined to state of things at commencement, at the time of commencement. Thereafter somebody has purchased. In such case, another person is claiming. In such case, this principle will not be applied. At the time of commencement of the tenancy, he had no title. At the time of commencement of the license, the licensor had no title. But after if that person, tenancy has come to an end, he is no more in possession as a tenant. If the person is no more in possession of that immovable property as a license, then he can deny the title. So this is section 116. Now, 117 says, estoppel of acceptor of bill of exchange, belly or license. So what it says? No acceptor of a bill. What is bill of exchange? Bill of exchange is an unconditional order in writing, signed by a person, directing another person to pay certain money on his behalf to another. The person who makes the bill of exchange is called the drawer. The person who is directed to pay the amount as per the bill of exchange is called the drawee. The person who is entitled to get payment as per the bill of exchange is called payee. What is check? Check is a bill of exchange drawn on a banker. That is check. So once the bill of exchange, check is also bill of exchange. Once the check is accepted, suppose you presented check. That is a bill of exchange drawn on a particular bank. And the bank accepted it by making acceptance. Then he cannot deny, that authority cannot deny, that the drawer had no authority to draw such bill. But he may say that it is a fraud, there is no signature in there. Such a ground may be taken. What it says? No acceptor, once an acceptance of a bill of exchange, no acceptor of a bill of exchange shall be permitted to deny that the drawer had authority to draw such bill. Once he has accepted it, then he will not be permitted to deny that the drawer had no authority to draw such bill, because of estoppel is there. Once you accepted the bill of exchange, then you accepted somebody as a drawer, you are the drawee, so you will not be permitted to deny that the drawer had no authority to issue such bill of exchange or to endorse it. Suppose endorsement, through endorsement, that is gone. Nor shall any baillie or licensee be permitted to deny that his bailor or licensor had at the time when the bailment or license commenced authority to make such bailment or grant such license. What is bailment? Contract of bailment. That is when a goods is delivered to another with a condition that again that it will be re-delivered to that person after a particular purpose or a particular period, or a purpose is over, then there is a contract of bailment. Suppose somebody took my motorcycle and saying that for one day and thereafter will return. So when the contract of bailment continues, I am the bailor and he is the baillie. So in such case, the baillie that when he has taken my motorcycle from me, he cannot deny that I had no authority to no possession over that property. What is said? So he similarly, no any baillie or licensee be permitted to deny that his jeweler or license had at the time when the bailment or license comment authority to make such bailment. My baillie, suppose baillie cannot deny in a suit that the bailor had no authority to make a bailment, contract of bailment, or similarly a licensee will not be permitted to say that the licensor had no authority to grant such license. What is the explanation one? The acceptor of a bill of exchange may deny that the bill was really drawn by the person by whom it purports to have been drawn. Suppose somebody's signature is there, X has not drawn that. The acceptor of a bill of exchange may deny that the person who was signed as this drawer is not the real drawer. That can be done. Explanation 2. If a baillie delivers the goods billed to a person other than the bailor, he may prove that such person had a right to them as against the bailor. So, suppose the baillie, had rightly or wrongly, had delivered the goods to another, and in a suit is brought, in such case, he may prove that the such person had a right to them as against the bailor. So, this is called this estoppel of acceptor of bill of exchange, baillie or license. So, once a bill of exchange has been accepted, the acceptor of a bill of exchange is debarred, is prohibited under the rules of estoppel to deny that the drawer had no authority to give such bill of exchange, to make such bill of exchange. But he can take the plea that the drawer is not the real drawer. Similarly, no baillie or no licensee will be permitted to deny that the bailor had no authority to give that goods in bailment, or no authority, the licensor had no authority to give possession of that property. This is the estoppel on so far as baillie and against licensee. Now we have completed the principles of estoppel. You go through the sections and try to understand and be fundamentally clear. Thank you all.